Hi there, I'm Danny Thompson. Welcome to my lair. A place full of twisted dreams and sweet nightmares. And don't let the bedbugs bite.
Thank you once again, Danny. So welcome to another shot from the bar. We've got our shots to hand. They're not alcoholic. Well, that's an alcoholic shot. That's not an alcoholic shot. But
it's not.
You know, one of these days we'll film one of these and we're actually drinking proper shots. So this is another one of our short, sharp shock videos. We're discussing the latest trailer for the new upcoming Netflix show, The Haunting of Bly Manor. So John, you selected this one yourself. You're presumably quite excited about this. So why don't you tell us what you thought of the trailer?
Yeah, so I was a massive fan of The Haunting of Hill House. Possibly just a warning, some spoilers if we might mention anything about that. And so the prospect of them doing, or Mike Flanagan, director, doing basically taking The Turn of the Screw, which is the Henry James novel, and using that, I guess. I mean, obviously we don't know what's going to happen yet. We've only seen there's the first trailer that's come out, and there's another one that's recently come out, which we're going to chat a little bit about. But yeah, so the first trailer, which is the one which starts off with the young girl singing, and that basically takes us nicely through a couple of the kind of what I would call the general tone of potentially what this is about. Now, anyone who's probably seen Haunting of Hill House, the tone is exactly, I would say, pretty much the same. It's the Haunting of Hill House was genuinely scary, and also it kind of worked on a few different levels. Especially one of the big things in it is that you probably don't quite caught on to it in the first viewings, but there's loads and loads of ghosts and people watching in the background, which you never really see until they're pointed out to you, and then that's all you can see. So I mean, one of the things I liked about this trailer is I do kind of like the concept of dolls in horror, and so having the reference to the doll stuff at the start, and yeah, just moving dolls. I don't find it particularly scary, I think, now, and I was kind of half expecting that one of those dolls to start moving, so it wasn't a particularly big shock, but it was quite it's potentially going to be quite cool. I do remember seeing many sort of ghosty stories, and any of them with dolls in it normally give me the heebie-jeebies. In fact,
It's become kind of a bit of almost a horror trope, isn't it? Like children and dolls in horror films. Like, cause, you know, I don't know why children are creepy. They certainly scare the hell out of me anyway. Maybe I'm just traumatized from all the years of swimming teaching I used to do. But but kids in films generally tend to be creepy. I guess that goes back to The Shining, maybe.
Yeah. I think because, I mean, there's probably a whole psychological thing there. Kids are potentially innocent, so for them to be evil in any capacity is always, and that's not just in horror. That's, you know, in war films and everything, you know, kind of stuff is, you know, a childhood that is blighted by horror of some description is, you know, is actually quite a disturbing concept. And dolls, I mean, dolls are quite can be quite scary. I mean, it's a lifelike, potentially looking thing or not. You know, obviously the big one that recently was Annabelle, the whole Annabelle series of things, and that totally played with all the
Chucky.
Sorry,
Child play. Chucky and child's play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Probably more comedic than horrific, but
yeah, I don't know if you saw the remake. We should perhaps that's one for the future. We should definitely have a chat about that at some point. So yeah, so what the other thing as well is it does circumvent. It plays with what the expectations are. Obviously, with the little girl at the end of it, the creatures creeping up behind her. You can't barely see it's in the darkness type thing, which was a big thing with Haunting of Hill House. It was lots of stuff in the background. You can't quite make out what's going on, and that is obviously 100 times scarier than actually normally seeing something. It makes me wonder what's behind me, actually. I suddenly thought for a second. But yeah, and obviously the girl then turns around and shushes the creature. And so there's obviously some sense of some relationship there. I mean, the thing I wanted to... So like I mentioned, there's a second trailer. And the thing I wanted to sort of chat a bit further about was I kind of started watching the second trailer and I stopped it. Because it suddenly felt like one of those plot trailers, which you have nowadays, where you kind of tell the entire story, and sometimes they even tell some of the twists and stuff that you know, if you go into a film cold. I always remember Mark Commode saying about Parasite, whatever you do, don't watch any trailers, don't know anything about it, just go into it completely cold. And it was amazing to see it completely cold, because you don't expect, you have no idea what happens, where you get to at the end, you know, in relation to where you start with. So that could be potentially something interesting with this. And so yeah, so it's nice that what I liked about the first trailer is that it was more a tone piece. It didn't really give you much plot at all. I think it's
a teaser, isn't it? It just kind of gives you a sense of atmosphere, and that's about it. And it just leaves you with enough questions to go, oh, that looks good. That seems a bit scary. I want to see more. Yeah,
and I think for the audience as well, the audience, probably most of them have seen Haunting of Hill House, and so they already have an expectation. They don't need to be told too much, because you kind of know what's going to happen. Well, not know what's going to happen, but you kind of know what you're in for with this. So yeah, so and I think that's good. I do prefer trailers that have that. If you can do it, you obviously have to make a trailer that can possibly suggest and sell what the movie to an audience that doesn't know that. But I think they do it quite well with this. It gives enough information. And also, I guess, because there will be a second trailer, they can almost, you know, like you say, a teaser of this, and then the second one explains a bit more if people want to see the second one. So
you said to me that you didn't watch the second trailer, the longer one.
I started watching it and I stopped it because it was like, oh, this is possibly going to tell me too much. I don't know. And the nice thing about when I watched The Haunting of Hill House is I didn't really know much about it. I hadn't really seen any trailers or anything like that. So when you do get to the various bits, which are, you know, where everything changes and twists and turns and all that sort of stuff, you are genuinely, there's nothing that's really kind of tipped you off a bit. It's quite nice to have that, and it's kind of quite nice, that notion of watching stuff for the first time, not knowing. You know, I always think fondly back to the first time I might have seen, you know, Big Trouble in Little China.
This is Jack Burton in the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to whoever's listening out there.
Or The Thing, or something like that, and you just don't know what to expect. And then once you've seen it, the second time you watch it, or the 1000th time you watch it, you already have, you know, it's a different viewing experience.
Yeah. I mean, I did watch the full second trailer. It doesn't seem to give much away about the plot. It just introduces more of the characters. And
right.
I noticed that there's like quite a big, like a lot of the actors and actresses in it are British. Is it a British production?
I don't think so. I think it's over in America. Maybe I could be wrong, but Bly Manor sounds potentially like it's going to be in England. I don't know where it's set. That would be something. Again, it's like talking about it is good, but because I've sort of stayed away from too much information. I do know one of the people involved, Axel Carolyn, who's a director and writer, and she was involved. She wrote part of the Sabrina reboot, and that. So she used to live in England, and she has a very kind of. She's not from England, but and she lives in America now, weirdly. But she has, an understanding of that aesthetic for kind of that British kind of concept of a big house, big haunted house. I mean, it's probably very Hammer-esque. And even though Haunting of Hill House, I'm pretty certain that was set in America. I'm guessing that was probably transplanted anyway from a British one to an American one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were going to say briefly about like the difference between a good trailer and a bad trailer, and that got me thinking, like, because I've seen some trailers that have just completely ruined my enjoyment of a film, and there's two mistakes I think producers, studios, whatever, make with trailers. There's one where they show all the good bits in the trailer, and two is the other one where they completely change the dynamic of the film, so you think you're getting a different film. I think it was the film Zodiac. I saw the trailer for that, and it gave you the impression that you were going to be watching a buddy cop movie, and then you go into the film and it's definitely not a buddy cop movie.
No.
And so it could potentially change your enjoyment of the film because your expectations are way off of what you're actually letting yourself in for. And I remember the Hollywood remake of Ring. They showed the big horror, the big scare moment, the money shot. They showed that in the trailer, and I'm like, well, what's the point of anyone going to see this film now? You've already ruined it for them. Yeah,
I totally agree. I mean, that's why sometimes it's good to avoid trailers if you can. But then that's, some people don't care. They want, there's a certain. I always remember the people or the sort of backlash, against The Witch, and people saw The Witch trailer and was expecting it to be a very different film to what it is. Now, personally, I prefer the film it is to what potentially, it's certainly not a Hollywood thing and all this kind of stuff. So sometimes that's good, but that's marketing, isn't it? That's the film company has to try and make some money out of it, I guess. So that's the way they think that people will want it. And if you put out a trailer for, say, something like The Witcher that was an honest trailer, there might be a lot of people who might be like, oh, I don't know if I could sit through that. That looks a bit weird.
A bit dull.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think if it's done well, it can be a good thing. And I did feel like the first trailer of this did kind of nicely, like I say, it was a nice tone piece. Set the tone to what you expect. And my expectations are, I don't really need to see a trailer in a way, because I know kind of what it's going to be in reference to The Haunting of Hill House. I'm guessing it's going to be more the same of that, really, in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, it's nice to get, you get a little bit excited about it and that. So. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean that's coming out is it the 9th of October?
It says the 9th of October. I did also do a little Google search, and that says the 12th of October. I personally don't have Netflix at the moment, but I'm tempted to go back on there for this. So yeah. So, but yeah, it's round
there's
about the
plenty-
9th to the
Right.
12th of October.
9th or the 12th of October. So there's something for horror and ghost story fans to look forward to in the run up to Halloween, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
And from the trailer, it does look good. It does look haunting and creepy. So I'm looking forward to it as well.
Yeah. Well, if it's as good as the Haunting of Hill House, then that's awesome. So
Cool.
brilliant.
Okay, well, that's another shot from the bar. Wrapping that one up as usual. Give us some love. I hate saying all this, like, share, click the bell, bollocks, but it makes me feel like a influencer or influencer. I prefer influenza because they're basically a malady, if you ask me. But anyway, do all that stuff. Tell your friends about us, and we'll catch you soon. Laters.
Cool.
Blah blah blah.